Hey guys, welcome to another exciting tutorial on C++ STL. In today's tutorial, we are going to talk about two derived containers provided by STL that implement two very important data structures in computer science. One is stack and one is queue. So before we do anything, we first need to include the header files to use those data structures. So for stack, we need to include the header file called stack, and for queue, we need to include the header file called queue. So once we have included these two header files, we can use stack and queue. So let's say you have a container and you are uh, putting some value into that container, and then you are getting those values out of that container. Okay, so when you are putting that value into that container, this operation that you are saving that value into the container is called push. And whenever you are taking that value out of that container, this operation is considered as pop. So let's say we are pushing, we have a container, and inside that container we are pushing first 1, and then we pushed 2, and then we pushed 3, and then we pushed 4. Now the order in which the values will be popped from that container differentiates between a stack and a queue. Now if you're using a stack, the last item that gets into the stack is the first item to get out of the stack. That means first 4 will get out of the stack, then 3 will get out of the stack, then 2 will get out of the stack, and then 1 will get out of the stack. And now if we're using a queue, the difference is that the first item that gets into the queue is the first item that gets out of the queue. That means first 1 will get out, 1 will get out, then 2 will get out, then 3 will get out, and then 4 will get out. And after you have popped a value, that value will be vanished from that container. That means the value will not only be returned but also delete from the container. Okay, so if you're using a stack or a queue, the three basic terms that you need to be familiar with is one is called push, another is called pop, and another is called top. But in general, what push means is to insert a value into your container, and what pop means is to remove a value from your container. And the container has another method or property called top, which denotes to the uh, item that's inside the container, and whenever you perform the pop operation next, it will be removed. Okay, so these three methods, we will be going through these three methods or functions of stacks and queues. So first of all, let's see how we can use or implement a stack. So to use a stack, we will define a stack of, let's say, integers, and I will call this my stack, and let's make it capital, and we will initialize it with an initializer list so that our my stack here has no values. So first of all, we will go through the push operation for the stack. So we will say my stack dot push, and I'm not using push back for the stack but only push, and I will push 1 here. Okay, now let's push some other values into our stack. So I will push 4, 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4. Okay, so to check if a stack is empty or not, we can simply call the method called empty, empty, and it will return a boolean depending on whether the stack actually contains a value or not. So we can simply put this into a while loop, saying while my stack is not empty, so I am appending a not operator in front of my stack. So that means until my stack has at least one value, what I want to do is I want to access the top of my stack. So I will just take a const int reference. So const int reference, and I will call this top, and this is equals to my stack dot top, because my stack is a stack of integers. You can have any kind of data structure, by the way, because these are templated functions. And what I will simply do is I will print that value. So I will say cout top, and then I will end the line. And after that, I want to remove that value from my stack. So I will say my stack dot pop. So now if we run this code, we'll see that first 4 was popped, then 3 was popped, and then 2 was popped, and then 1 was popped. the order we inserted the value and the order the values were taken out were completely different. Okay, they were reversed. The last item to get in was the first item to get out. This kind of behavior is called as LIFO, that means last in first out. And you can use this behavior of a stack in many programming situations, in many interesting situations. Like, let's say you have a stack of functions, and the way that stack of functions behaves is that the operating system itself uses a stack to maintain those data structures. Another thing is that whenever you are using a simple calculator that calculates a equation, your equations or your expressions, they are given in a infix form, and you can just convert them into postfix form, and then from those postfix form you can just calculate the values very easily using a stack. So a stack is a very important data structure to consider. Now if we want to know how to use queue, we will just replace the word stack here with queue. Nothing more fancy here. So we will have our queue here, and this queue is of integers, and this queue has 1 2 3 and 4. Okay, but in case of queue, and I'm also going to give this name a queue, so I will say my queue. Just like stack, we can perform push operations, and we can also perform pop operation. But in case of a queue, the top is simply called as the queue's front. So I will say my queue dot front. Okay, this is just the standard definition that are provided by the people who invented stack and queue. So that's why they gave these names. So if we run this code down, we will see that the first item that got into this queue is the first item that got out of the queue. The second item that got into the queue is the second item that got out of the queue. The third item that got into the queue was the third item that got out of the queue, and so on. This kind of behavior is called as FIFO, which means first in is the first out. Okay, in stack it was LIFO, the last in was the first out, but in case of queue this is the FIFO, that is first in and the first out. Now your operating system typically uses a queue also in many situations, and a queue can also be implemented using a stack, because all you have to do is take the values from one stack and then put those values into another stack and then take the values out of it. If you are using two stacks, it will behave like a queue. But the main benefit of queue is that you can have some values inputted into your buffer. Like your buffer means something that holds some values like an array, and then you can whenever you are asking that buffer to return those values, they will be returned in order that you have pushed those values into a buffer. An easy example will be like your WhatsApp messages. They are put into a queue, a waiting queue, and whenever you are online, those messages are getting one after another, one by one. That it maintains a order, like in front of a shop you are making a queue, and the person that gets first to that shop is the person to get the first item from that shop, and then the second person, then goes the third person, and so on. And that this word queue has been being used in many cases, like in banks and other areas, whenever people make a ordered line and they go one after another. Okay, so after the queue, these are the basic things that are provided by the queues and stack. There are some other properties, like you can say my queue dot size. It will return how much elements are there in your queue. In this case, these will return 4 because there are 4 elements. But the interesting thing is that I can just put this here, and we will not be bothering about the top, and we can run this code. Now this output will be same as stack, but as you can see, if you are using stack or a queue, we had 4 values at the beginning, and then we popped one value and it became 3 value, then 3 values, that is we have 2 3 and 4 now. And then we popped another value, and then it became 2 values, that is 3 or 4, 3 and 4. And then we popped another value, and finally we had one value and we popped it, and our queue was empty and it got out of the scope of while loop. Okay, so that's how we basically use queues and stacks. And The size is also available for stack. So apart from that, there is also a special kind of queue that's called a priority queue. So we can simply create a priority queue by using the word priority queue instead of queue. And the main difference between a queue and a priority queue is that a priority queue is going to give some priority to your objects. What does that mean? That simply means that the objects that suppose you have a line in front of a store and some and you are in a queue. Now a VIP comes in and the shopkeeper knows that he is a VIP and he gives higher priority to those that VIP. So he gets his job done first, although he got the last into that queue. And that's how a priority queue is typically implemented. Like you have a priority queue in your operating system that maintains all the functions on all the programs that are going to be executed. Now suppose there is a system function that has to be immediately executed, so the priority queue, it will first execute that system call and then it will go through the functions that you are trying to execute as a user. So I will just give you a demo and you will get familiar with it. So in our priority queue, we are going to have the values altered. So first, let's say we pushed 100, then we pushed 20, and then we pushed 300, and then we pushed 4,000. Okay. So this is an example. And in case of priority queues, we don't use front, but just like stacks, we will use top. Okay. So other things that pop and empty are almost same, but the difference that priority queue does is it assigns a priority. Okay. In default case, it prioritizes the greater value first, and after that it prioritizes the lesser value. So 400 was first, and then 300 was second, and then 100, and then 20 got out. Okay. So this is how a typical priority queue works. Now let's say you want to define this priority as you want. So you want to give higher priority to the lesser value, and then you want to give priority to the other values. So to do that, we can implement this template signature. So first of all, a priority queue, to define a priority queue, we give the argument as to what the item is, and the second thing is to give the kind of container you want to use. In our case, we just simply want to use a vector of integers. This is the container that has been being used inside that priority queue. So that's why these kind of containers are called derived containers, because they are not independent containers. They use other containers to store the values and operate on those containers. In our case, our priority queue is going to use a vector of integers to store its values. And the third thing, you can give a comparator function here. In our case, we will the default comparator function is less or less than, but in case we want to print things at a greater order, that is the lowest value is first and then the highest value, we will simply say greater, greater, and we will give int here. Now if you have gone through my first algorithm series video, you will understand what greater is. It's simply a functor that does the job for you, but we can also define a custom function. There are a lot more functions. As you can see, the it's now getting prioritized in a greater order. So the least value is first, and then the greatest value is done last. And there are some other such values, such keywords like, and these you can find it in the algorithms. So you have to include algorithm in case you don't find it. But in case of queues, they already have included algorithm inside them, so you can have this greater. And let's now, and there is also lesser, greater than or equal, less than equal, and so on. There are many such things, even add, divide, and so on. But add, divide, they are not going to work on these cases. Greater will work. But let's say we want our queue to act as we want. Okay, so let's say so for that we will create a struct, and that will have a let's first include a string. So that will have a string called message, string, sorry. and it will have an integer called priority. So we will just simply call it P. Okay. So it will have a string called message, and it will have an integer called priority P. And our struct will have a name called let's say MSG, capital MSG. Okay. So let's have a message first. So let's say let's create a message, and let's remove this push, and we will say MSG my message, and we will just define some messages here, and we will push those messages one by one. So I will do it in a for loop. So for, let's say, int I equals to 0, I is less than 10, I plus plus, and inside that we are also going to use some random indexes. So I will include random, I will include C studio, C studio, not C studio, but cstdlib, because tstdlib has the rand function that we can use for the priority. And we will simply say my message dot message equals to, let's say I have a int priority, and this priority is equals to, let's say, rand modulus 100. So it will give me a random number between 0 and 100, and I will just simply say as my message is I have priority as, and then we will have the value priority, but converted to a string. So to do that, we will simply call the function called toString, and we will pass our priority. It's as simple as that, and this toString will convert this number into a string. Pretty smart, right? And after that, we will assign my messages priority to this priority. Okay, as simple as that. And after we have done that, what we will simply going to do is we will going to push that value into our queue. So I will say my queue dot push our message. So my message in this case. Now I am pushing the messages by value. So I am exactly creating a copy each time. So I can just have one struct and modify that struct and push that struct again and again, and it will push new values. So now we need to modify our priority queue signature so that it matches and it can take our my message as its arguments, and it can process my messages depending on our priority. Now it's going to look a little bit ugly, but that's how the syntax is. So first of all, we are going to define a comparator function to compare between two messages as a auto. So we will say auto comparator comp equals to, we are just going to use a lambda function here. So we will say message A, and we will have message B, and what we will do is we will simply return whether A's priority is greater than B's priority. As simple as that. Okay, of course you need to return this, and now this signature is going to be changed a little bit, but you don't have to worry so much. So the first thing that's obvious is going to be that the priority queue is now holding messages, and to hold those messages it's using a vector of messages. So this thing is that, and another thing is that we have to give, we cannot use this kind of syntax anymore. Of course we will have my queue, but we will pass our comparator function here. So we will just pass our comparator function here, but it's not enough still. We have to define the type of our comparator function here, the templated type of our comparator function here. Now to do that, we can use a very handy a handy keyword called decl type. So we'll say decl type UIP decl type, and inside the first parenthesis we will pass comparator function, our comparator function, so comp. and it's as simple as that. And it will create a priority queue using this comparison and using this message structure. Now it's something that looks a little bit ugly, but as the time goes you are going to be used to this. And all Jekyll type does is that it provides the type of the function. As you can see here, if I hover over this mouse, it's saying it's a lambda function of boolean, and that's taking two messages and returning a boolean, as simple as that. So that we have done this, we have created this priority queue. All we now need to do is that instead of returning the top as a int, we need to return the top as a message. And that we have the message, we will print the message inside the message. So we will say ms, let's say top dot msg, small msg, because our message field holds the message. We will see that the item that has the lowest priority is going to be at the top, and the highest priority will be going to be given to the bottom. In a realistic situation, that is, we are using greater than here. But if we use the normal style of using the priority queue, that is the less, then we'll just simply pass less here. And if we run this code now, we'll see that the highest priority message will be at top and the lowest priority message will be at bottom. So as you can see, the message with the highest priority has been indeed taken out first, and the message with the lowest priority has been taken out last. So I think that explains everything about priority queue. Thank you very much for supporting. Stay tuned.